The little Shadowland changes you want to know.
October 27th is when the Shadowlands
Turn it up a bit.
will be landing. We have all our dates of when the raids will launch. Check the link down below if you want to get them confirmed. But one thing is abundantly clear. So many people are unprepared for what is about to happen. So let's jump into
Are
a
those
few
people
of the little
including
things
Blizzard?
that haven't been covered in great detail.
Okay. So these are little changes in Shadowlands that haven't really been announced or anything.
It's always the small things that don't get like a whole video, so we better put them together here. Like, there's no flight whistle. Yeah, there's no flight whistle. Of course, we're not going to have flying in the Shadowlands, and the lack of flight whistle really sucks in a lot of ways. In fact, the whole world quest system is now totally different. The way it works is there are considerably less world quests in the game. In fact,
that is a good improvement. I said that I wanted this as well. That I think that creating world quests with more substance instead of just, you know, throw away, oh, go over there and just kill 3 mobs and that's it. I would vastly prefer that instead. No flight whistle, it's like, that kind of sucks, but it's not a really big deal. I don't know why they changed it. Maybe they just changed it to save inventory space, but that sounds stupid too.
Most zones will have about 4 per day. So if you were thinking of a BFA mindset or a Legion mindset, it doesn't work that way anymore. You do still receive the equivalent of an emissary every single day. They're now called callings. Now, what annoys about this is you have to travel to your Covenant Sanctum to pick up the quest. If you open up the menu, it will tell you what the calling is for the day, but you won't be able to just go and complete it. These take place in...
This is just like... Why? How is that good? So you have to go to the... So the reason why they're doing that, why do they do that? Here's why they do that. They do that because they want people to populate the Covenant areas to make people feel more in tune with the Covenant choice that they made. That's clearly what it is. This is what I'm saying. Like, they're building this entire expansion around making you feel good about your Covenant choice. Like, that's obviously what it is. And so instead of making the game fundamentally good, they're building the entire game. It seems to me they're building it with like all the dungeon mechanics, with like certain raid mechanics not being doable because they would privilege certain covenants too much. They're building the entire Shadowlands, or a huge part of it, around basically reinforcing people's covenant decisions. It's like this gimmick. It's a fucking gimmick. Like, I'm annoyed, man. Yeah, I really am, because they could have spent this time focusing on making the core game better. Ah, fuck.
Either your own zone or in different zones, and come in a number of different ways. Most of you are going to be used to complete 4 world quests in a zone, and that will get you your emissary. That is not what happens this time. They can come in a whole variety of things, such as defend Revendreth. Yes, I know, defend the other zone who don't particularly seem to want to deal with you anymore, but that is a commonplace theme. And in that case, you could do a number of things. You can go to Revendreth, complete their world quest, kill some rares in that zone, and you will have defended Revendreth. What you could also do is do any of the dungeons that are associated.
So they're basically doing it like Mechagon, then, it seems. Where, like, the Mechagon World Quest every time... Like, I actually really like the Mechagon World Quest. So what Mechagon World Quest does is you go in there, and it's like complete activities in Mechagon, where you can do... you can open up boxes, you can kill rares, you can contribute recycling parts, you can do all of these different things. And I actually think that the Mechagon World Quest system and having them all be kind of under one umbrella is better in general than the World Quest system we have in the rest of BFA. But I think that it should be different for each area. It shouldn't be like one or the other, it should be both like it is with BFA. So World Quest or assaults now? Almost.
With Revendreth, that will count towards it too. You have your whole choice of what you want to do there.
Exactly.
That's not always the case though. You will have other varieties such as kill 4 rare mobs in Bastion.
Exactly like fucking...
Usually some sort of flower or some sort of resource from those guys, and you have to find rare mobs. Some rare mobs are easy, soloables, things you can do there. But many of them are not, which means you will be looking for groups in order to complete those quests. Other quests will involve specifically doing 4 world quests in a zone. You will get that variety as well. So there's a...
Yeah, that is awesome. That's great. I really actually like the World Quest system that they're making in Shadowlands based off of what Preach is saying. I think this is actually really good. So they have a variety of the approaches that you can take, and also the variety changes regularly. So it's not like every single day you have to kill 3 rares or every single day you have to do 4 quests. It changes regularly. And also the rares not being soloable does drive players to want to interact with each other and play with each other. And even in like kind of, just like throwaway ways, but it's still better than just going and killing the rare and then just leaving. So I think this is an improvement overall. This is good.
Whole mishmash of these calling quests that you're going to get. Why should you do them? That's a good question. So the reason this time is to gain anima. Now anima feeds directly into your Sanctum Anima Reservoir. Ooh. What's that for? Just to upgrade the Sanctum. One thing that's going to be really difficult for a lot of people to get away from is the idea that world quests and all that are not mandatory content. They're not actually tied to your player power per se. They're not something you're going to have to grind and do world quest sweeps. In fact, the likelihood is you're not going to be able to. World quests are now significantly longer than they are in Legion and BFA or any other version you've seen. You can expect to spend 15 to 20 minutes doing a single world quest.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're all kind of gimmicky. There are 1 or 2 go and kill X amount of things. They're there, but they're very rare. They are much rarer than you've ever seen before.
If it's a 15 to 20 minute quest, it depends on what the quest is. So that sounds cool, or that could sound bad. It just depends on what the quest is and the way that it's designed. So to some degree, it could be all right, and to some degree, it wouldn't be. I don't really know. It's just, I will wait and see. But that does, you're right. A lot of you guys, your core first reaction is the same thing that I'm thinking is like, fuck. What is it? Do we have to kill 100 of these mobs? Do we have to click 50 of these little boxes? Like, how does this work? I'm very concerned about that too. Taking into consideration
this
that you don't,
time around,
they're optional
most
though.
Of the world quests have
That's
some
a big
sort
point.
Of gimmick or story to tell you, and this means they're a bit hit and miss. I'm not being negative here. Sometimes you're going to get one that's actually kind of fun. Maybe you're going to do some jumping on clouds. Maybe you're going to be going on some sort of escort mission, something along those lines.
Cool.
Maybe you're going to turn into a butterfly and commit genocide. All those kinds of things. However, some of them are kind of boring. And that means because these missions are significantly longer, that if you get the ones that aren't particularly interesting, then you're kind of shit out of luck.
Yeah, you just have to do the shitty ones.
And they're probably just not going to be that fun.
Because like that's the way it is with like almost all the world quests. It's like whenever certain world quests pop up, it's like, oh fuck yeah, dude! I just run in there and I complete this in like 3 seconds. Whereas like you see other world quests that pop up and they have like 3 different objectives, and it's like do 0 out of 11 things, do 1 out of 8 things, and do 1 out of 3 things, and it's like, yeah, fuck that. And so this is kind of reminding me of that. Nadjatar puzzles were the greatest of all times. I think Nadjatar puzzles were really good. I like them a lot.
Don't have any choices. Whereas in BFA, you can say something like, oh, I'll choose these 4 quests because they're the most time efficient, or they're going to give me the best rewards that I want immediately. This time around, you only have 4. So if you have a calling to do 4 world quests, your choice is either to simply not do them that day, or wait until the next couple of days and do them then, or do 1 that day and maybe a couple more the next days and hope for something better to come along. I'm sure many of you have heard the rumors about the Flappy Bird world quest. I unfortunately have not been able to do it.
Oh,
what does all this mean? Why are we doing world quests? Why are we upgrading our Sanctum? Well, that's at your leisure. Now, there are a couple of things that are tied to player power. However, Blizzard has been pretty good this time around about not wanting you to be endlessly farming. Instead, what they've done is made it so that there is a huge amount of things to do, but they're lengthy, they take time, and they're all for personal goals rather than just your character getting stronger. Sure, calling...
That's a huge big dick move by Blizzard. Because Blizzard basically, in the last 2 or 3 expansions, the way that Blizzard has made their content succeed is by making it mandatory. Like, they've made it mandatory. They're like, well, you have to do islands, so go do islands. Or you have to do war fronts because of how efficient they are with giving you gear. It would be stupid not to. So I really think this is a big dick move by Blizzard, and I'm kind of curious to see how it pans out. I'm very supportive of it at a first glance, though.
quests will have some gear associated to them. The tooltip says they will. Right now they don't.
Yeah.
But the likelihood is you will get the same sort of thing that you get in emissaries, which is a big weapon, something along those lines.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
But at the moment they don't drop anything. But that probably still will return. That if you have alts and you want to get some gear, not necessarily quick gear, bearing in mind on what I just said, emissaries or callings should be a source for that. Well,
I think that's fine. I like that. I think having to re-gear your alts and getting a few pieces of gear out of the world quest is really cool at the beginning of an expansion. The problem is that whenever the world quest gets scaled up halfway through the expansion, and then the world quest gear ends up outpacing the raid gear from the first tier. That's what the issue is, in my opinion.
As a source of reputation. Now, reputation grinding is a little iffy in the Shadowlands.
Oh, good.
The world quests themselves don't reward too much. The calling quests reward you a little bit more, but you also have other sources of rep gain, including daily heroics and daily normal dungeons. These are going to be found in Oribos, who will give you the 2 daily dungeons that you can go and do for that day, and they will give you a straight-up big rep token for any faction you choose. They give you a choice of which one you want to do. So that's
a daily heroic?
Why do you want rep? It's a good question.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
There are some conduits and there are some recipes on top of the vendors. But they're honoured.
Trading favors.
That means there's no exalted grind straight out the gate. Now, Pathfinder is probably going to require you to get them eventually, but it's of no rush, and this is the important thing. This isn't a mandatory thing. It's not going to be like BFA where you logged in and you had to get exalted or whatever ASAP. As far as I can tell, and I want to say this very clearly, as far as I can tell, beyond doing your weekly Torghast quick runs, which will give you your legendary soul ash, we're going to come back to that in a second, and getting your renown for the week, which is weekly capped, by the way. You can't farm renown, and this is what's going to upgrade your soul binds.
So it's like Valor.
There's not actually that much power grind to do in the Shadowlands.
Thank fucking God. Thank fuck. Like, that's exactly what I want to hear, man. This is awesome. Yeah, these are less chores that we have to do. And so, yeah, this is really, really good. Like, opening up the game and just being able to play the fucking game. And I'm so glad. I really am. I'm so glad. You like that sound I made? That was good, right? Sometimes, you know, when I'm talking, sometimes I'll just like randomly say something in a weird way just to, you know, keep people's interest a little bit, you know? It makes it exciting. And so, yeah, I think this is good. Like, just playing the game should be the goal. And I think that in MMOs, this should be what you're supposed to do, right? Not just like constantly chasing after more and more power, but like having other things that you can do in the game that have meaning that's intrinsic to what the player enjoys. And this is something that seems like they're doing with Shadowlands, so I'm pretty excited for this.
Everything is designed around you wanting to do it whenever the hell you feel like doing it.
Damn.
And that's cool.
Damn.
That's so good.
Damn.
If you want to spend a day working on your sanctum, upgrading your weekly event, depending on which covenant you picked, that's your choice to do that.
Damn.
If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You're not really missing out on anything, as this is not going to provide you with something that you need a catch-up mechanic for, or anything like that.
That's really good.
Cosmetics, it's going to be extra resources, it's going to be more abominations if you're a necrolord. It's all feeding into itself without directly meaning that you can't raid without it. So not very similar to what you have now with Visions, with getting the legendary cloak upgrade. Everybody wants those because it lets you use more corruptions. That's not what's happening this time around. This time around, the covenants, anima, all that stuff is linked in its own little bubble that you can go and take part in at your leisure.
Wow.
There are some things you're going to want to pick up, like getting
That's
honored,
actually
which is going to be particularly difficult. But other than that, if you want the transmogs, if you want to get some more rep gains, if you want to farm some resources,
you just
if you want to build more abominations, take part in more Bastion weekly events, things like that, then you're going to go and do some farming. And farming has returned. This is another thing that hasn't been mentioned a lot, but farming is back.
I want to make one comment about this other stuff and talk about it just for a second. I kind of liked at the beginning of the expansion, there's like the hustle of getting all of the gear and everything. I think that's kind of cool. But I feel like that was really cool in like Burning Crusade, whenever you had like, you could farm out like your exalted reputations, and you could go and, you know, like get, you know, this like the best shield. It's like, let's say you would do Mechanar every single week because like a Shatari, whatever the fuck they were, had like a shield that you could buy. And I think the problem is that like people play the game so much differently now. And I worry that if they added that back into the game, or they had the same mechanics like in Burning Crusade, the expectation would be to farm Burning Crusade 5-man heroics like constantly until you had all the gear and just be done with it. So I do really worry about that a lot. Borrowed power again, this has nothing to do with that. Yeah, it has nothing to do with it at all. And that's what was best about the game. Yeah, the hustle is good. But overall, I think that, yeah, this is an improvement.
In a pretty big way. For example, the Necrolords rely on various resources, specifically one called Malleable Flesh. Malleable Flesh is just a drop. It's a world drop. You can get it from dungeons, you can get it from doing world quests, you can get it from killing mobs. It comes from all kinds of places, and every time you pick some up, that pushes you towards your weekly building an abomination.
Okay.
Why would you want to build an abomination? For fun. I'm serious. I'm deadly serious here. For fun. You want to build all the abominations because they're kind of funny. You want to dress them in silly hats. You want to add all kinds of accessories.
What the
Go ahead. You can farm it as much as you want. You can week one push really, really hard and get all those things. It's going to depend a little bit on your Sanctum upgrades, but that is something that you can do.
Fun.
Does it make you stronger in a raid or anything like that?
Fun.
It just gives you the ability to make more funny abominations. They'll give you more world quests, or weekly quests, I should say, so you can build more abominations. It's a system that just plays on itself. It's in its own little sandbox that you can go and have fun with, but don't feel yourself obligated to do it. It's going to be hard for some players to adjust initially.
That's cool.
And similar to how it was in 8.3, where people were like, I need to do every single world quest in this zone. And then they realized, actually, no, I don't need to do the rare world quest. It doesn't gain me that much to do that.
Yeah.
I might take a little couple of days longer or something to get exalted, but I don't really want the exalted rewards anyway in a lot of cases. So it's really not a big deal. I can skip that quest. And that's what it's going to be like in the Shadowlands.
Not giving people like that fucking feeling that they have to do shit is so good. I'm very, very glad they're taking this approach. Now, obviously, maybe it might not turn out very well, but this has been like a massive point of criticism and a massive point of feedback that players have given recently, is that they want less mandatory fun in the game. Is this something that I can, you guys can kind of basically agree with what I'm saying? Yeah, I would say, yeah, less mandatory fun in the game. So I would say no more chores. Yeah, exactly. That's why I hate daily quests. It's a chore. It's only good in theory. I'm still optimistic, though. That's right. It could only be good in theory, and people could just not do it because they don't care about it. But I think that things like this, there have to be like social components to these different types of like intrinsic reward systems in order for people to feel like they're actually worthwhile. And so what the social components to it are is really what I think is going to matter the most.
Another minor change that has come back to the game is something that some people are going to be pissed off about, and you would think I would be, but I'm really not.
Okay.
And that is the return of lots of little minor buffs. These are temporary buffs that you're going to be able to add to your weapons and armor, things like that. Of course, we've got the usual consumables. We've got food, we've got flasks, we've got a whole variety of potions. Some of them actually work with these extra
like mana oil and shit.
On top of that, we've got things like sharpening stones returning for both blunt weapons and sharp weapons. We now have weapon oils returning, so you can oil your weapon for an hour.
Let me see. So apply to a weapon for 10 minutes, giving you a high chance to deal shadow damage to an enemy. So weapon oils and these types of enchants and ways to improve your character in combat is fucking awesome. Like, this is fucking amazing. I love this. I don't know why they haven't done more of these types of things. Like, giving players more ways to make themselves more powerful, I think does make it, to a degree, more fun. I think that's really cool. Yeah, just more mandatory buffs you need to have for raid. I mean, I think that there's a strong argument that you can make for that. That is true. Yeah, you have to have your weapon oil and things like that. But it's kind of like, I don't know. I always liked that back in vanilla WoW, where you could use buffs and stuff like that to make your character stronger in raids. Like, I don't know. I thought it was cool. I think the Burning Crusade buff system was probably better, but there's something special about the way that it used to be. Yeah, it's also like they're not really that hard to do either. I mean, I don't like the idea of investing a bunch of time. Like the world buff meta in Classic, I think, is dog shit, right? It's so much of a time investment. It's so like hit and miss. Like, it's just bad. And this is not the same thing. Like, you're literally just buying these off of a vendor. I think it's all right.
giving you an extra little damage buff, an extra healing buff, things like that.
Yeah.
A little bit crapper for the tanks. There are the leather patches returning, which give you 2-hour buffs to your feet, your hands, and your chest, buffing your stamina by 50 each. That means you do need 3 of them every 2 hours if you want to keep the buff up all the time. And you're going to get these little buffs coming back. Why?
That's kind of a lot.
A number of reasons, I think. One, to keep the professions more relevant.
Yeah.
So blacksmiths can make sharpening stones throughout the expansion. And
that makes sense.
Leather workers can make the patches, and they'll be fine, and they'll have something to make and generate, make some money back into the auction house. And another side.
Oh, so the blacksmiths make the fucking, okay, wow. So it actually makes professions useful to players in like an immediate way. See, I thought you just bought them off a vendor for some reason, but I had no idea. What the fuck? That's insane. Leatherwork. Well, this is how it used to be in Classic and BC, right? Is you'd have your sharpening stones, and you'd put that, and like blacksmiths would make sharpening stones, etc. The vendor's just for beta. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Asmongold knows that because he gets fed gold by viewers. Well, I still have to buy it off the auction house, right? I still know what happens in the game. But you're right, it's pretty good. So yeah, anyway, like I think that stop bringing up BC. It's old. Well, I think BC was a really good point, right? That's why I'm bringing it up. It's because it was good. It doesn't matter how old it is. Not about with gathering, but this is the problem, is that if they don't solve the problem with like these like multi-boxers that are like picking up these mines with like 10 different characters, those are going to be the only people that can sell this kind of stuff at a reasonable price, because they're just going to flood the market, man. And I do really worry about that too. I don't know, man. Like fuck multi-box. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that at all. I don't like it in any way. What the fuck, man? 1 pickup per herb for Blizzard account. I don't know really about that. Yeah, I think per Blizzard account, but the multi-boxing and herbing, like that's a very bad combination.
Side of it is that probably because Titan Forging is gone. A lot of guilds relied on being overgeared to maintain steady progress.
Oh, so they have the buffs.
Originally, this war forging system came in is Blizzard told us that they had data, that there were guilds that were stuck on a boss and they collected every single piece of gear. Now you're going to have a number of consumable items that you can throw into your character.
Here's the solution for multi-boxing. You just ban multi-boxing. It's not good for the game. That's it. It's just not good for the game. Period. It adds no, like, multi-boxing does not improve the experience of other players. It actively diminishes the experience of other players. People are paying more money to get an advantage in the game. It should be banned. The amount of money that it generates for Blizzard is so minor in the grand scheme of things that it would be stupid to make a decision that diminishes the integrity of the game and the whole economy in order to make that amount of money. It's just stupid. So yes, I think they should just get rid of multi-boxing. It adds no value. It's bad for the game.
To overpower it for the next piece of content, which is something you probably want to do. Now, for Mythic Raiders, of course, this is just going to be another mandatory thing, similar to augment runes that you're probably going to want during progress.
Yeah.
It's a small price to pay, in my opinion, for keeping the profession systems relevant throughout the entire expansion.
I agree with that. I think that's good.
Let's move on to something else then. The Maw. I imagine you've seen really little, if any, footage of the Maw. What is the Maw? The Maw's a big deal, apparently. The Maw is the end game zone. It's the big 5th zone of this expansion, and it is...
Yeah, we know that.
Unfinished. Massively, I think. Hard to tell. The reason you haven't seen any footage, probably, or most people deep dive in the Maw, is the Maw sucks. There's not really any other way for me to put it right now. It feels like it's an idea that's going to be expanded on over the course of the expansion.
Yeah, I mean, the Maw does need a lot of work. It seemed to me like it did. Like a lot of the zones, you couldn't even go to those zones. So I don't know, like not having a mount I think is stupid. It's an interesting choice and like a difference that Blizzard is making with like the Maw to the other zones. I think that I respect their decision to do something different, but I don't think that it will go very well. But overall, overall, I think that to a certain degree, it probably will release unfinished. Yeah, it's definitely true. And what made me change my stance on multi-boxing was two things. Number one, whenever I saw all of the people running around with 10 characters herbing the same herb in Nazjatar and flooding the market, that's number one, because I didn't understand what the repercussions for that would be. And number two is classic WoW. Whenever I saw one player that was able to wipe entire raid teams because they just paid a bunch of money and they leveled up engineering on all the characters and boost zappers. Like, this is just dog shit gameplay. Like, this should not be in the game. It's people gaining a massive advantage to fuck with other players because they're spending more money. They're removing follows, so multi-boxing will be harder to do legit. They should just remove multi-boxing. Like, that's it. Just get rid of it. If somebody's caught multi-boxing, just ban them. That's it. It's pretty simple.
Right now, I can tell you what the Maw is supposed to be. The Maw is supposed to be where the jailer lives. This is the big end zone. You are the Maw Walker. You are very special because you can travel to the Maw and back again. No one else in the Shadowlands can do that. And it's also the place where the eye of the jailer watches over you.
Oh, shit.
What does that mean? It means the more time you spend there, and you can probably remember this from BlizzCon as a big selling point.
Yeah, I remember this.
The more time you spend there, the more the jailer notices you. And he's going to get more and more pissed off that you are in the Maw. You're not supposed to be there. This is his place. This is where he tortures souls. This is where he's doing all these horrible things.
That's
yet
right.
You're running around and killing his friends. What does this mean? Well, in the Maw, you can't mount, which is a big frustration still to this day. And it's not that very scary. It's supposed to be scary. You're supposed to be like, I can only spend a little bit of time here before I have to leave because it's going to overwhelm me. In reality, there's a system called the Eye of the Jailer. And the Eye of the Jailer just kind of fills up as you do things in the Maw. As you
sanity? Yeah, it's almost like sanity.
And bring them from the Maw, the eye will fill up. And then it has 5 levels. So it takes a little bit of time to get level 1 and so on and so forth. Until you get level 5 where eventually the Jailer will just straight up kill you. Now, what's wrong with the Maw then?
It's like, so I feel like if you don't have a mount and you're just walking. Like, did you watch Preach play the game? He's just walking. He's not avoiding anything. He's not trying to, like, there's no mobs that are around. He just has to walk. It's, oh, come on. Like, it's just fucking boring. Like, why is that a walking simulator? Like, I think that Blizzard should release it without mounts just to see how players interact with it. And if they fucking hate it, then add mounts later on. But I do think that, like, the idea is cool, but I don't think it's going to go over very well. I'm always a big fan of Blizzard trying new things as long as they don't completely ruin the fucking game. Later on equals 9.3. More like the pre-patch for the expansion after Shadowlands.
Why are people not playing it? Well, there's nothing much to do there. It's really, really boring. It's not scary. The affixes that the jailer applies to you don't really matter until he eventually kills you at level 5, so you kind of ignore that mechanic.
There's what it is.
The way they're doing it is that you're supposed to get upgrades over time with you get a resource called Stygia, which is a resource that you can buy things from a vendor that lives in the Maw to enable you to see things in the Maw, such as where the quests are. I'm not joking. Like when you go to the Maw, you're just going to be in a zone that has seemingly nothing in it. Yeah. And you're going to wander around. Now, occasionally, as you're wandering around, a quest will pop up. Ooh. And it'll be like, there's a quest, and the reward is Stygia. And you're like, okay. Ooh. Do the quest. The jailer fills up. Wander around a bit more, fight some enemies. Yeah. And find some rares.
Yeah, then what?
And that's kind of it. It feels woefully unfinished, and I kind of feel it's going to go live that way and be developed over time. I think maybe they've run out of time.
Yeah, it'll take a while for them to get it right.
This is what they intended, and it's just not worked. But it's not fun. Why do you need to go to the Maw? That's probably the next question, is why do you need to go to the Maw? Just for the Sanctum upgrades. Like many things, like I just said, there's only a couple of things you need to do weekly for player power that you kind of want to keep on top on. This is for Sanctum upgrades. Rescuing the souls from the Maw, you'll find them trapped in cages and things like that. Rescuing those souls, that's what's going to allow you to... They turn into a currency that you use to upgrade your Sanctum. So upgrading your Sanctum gives you more world quests, it makes your mission table better, and
that's cute.
Upgrades the things you can do with your weekly event.
Yeah, that's real cute.
So, if you're not particularly interested in doing that stuff, there's not much reason to go to the Maw, and...
There's not a lot of reasons. So, I think that they should add, like, in the Maw, here's what they need to do to add the interesting things to the Maw. Add in, like, a few raid bosses that drop mounts. Add in, like, like some random ass cool fucking like events that you need like 30 people for, or 50 people for, or something like that, and then bring in everybody, and like having like actual like large scale like areas to go over there with. I think that's really fucking cool. And then add in a world boss in the Maw that every single time that you get hit by one of his mechanics, it increases your stack of Eye of the Jailer. So if you get hit by 5 mechanics, you just fucking die. It doesn't matter what your chances are or what it is, you just fucking die. And like those types of things would be really, really fucking cool. And I think, like, for example, you know, have it in an area, and then as soon as like enough people engage him in the area, then after that it would just like port everybody else out. So it's not like overscaled or something like that, or his health scales up based off the amount of people that hit him, and then after everybody's engaged in combat, everybody else gets locked out. So it like puts a ring of fire around them, and then like you just have that group fighting. So that way you don't have people that are like way far, you know, they tag him at the last second and then they just get the kill. Like that would be really fucking cool. So what they need to do is they need to make content that's hard. And that's the problem that BFA has. That's the problem that Legion had. That's the problem that WoD had. It's that all of the world content is a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. You don't have to spend any effort, any time, anything. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to know anything. You just go there and you hit them, and that's it. And that is not good enough. It's just simply not good enough. And in my opinion, I think they need to do a better job at making challenging world content. So imagine, like, I'm giving you guys an example. So imagine if, like, in the Maw, there's a portal. And so if you take that portal, it brings you to like a fucking, like, let's say like an asteroid area or something like that up at the top. And if you take that portal, then you're teleported up into this arena against one boss. And this boss, you can't go to him from or to or from that area. You're just stuck in that area. And as soon as you engage him, his health calculates how many people are fighting him, and nobody can enter or use the portal after the engagement begins. So you have that many people fighting the boss. That would be fucking badass. And also have him do mechanics that increase the stacks of your Eye of the Jailer. And if you get hit by 5 of them, it just removes your character from the Maw. It doesn't just like kill you, it just takes you and ports you back to Oribos. Like, that's it. That would be fucking badass. Because that's a challenging fight that they can define and say, okay, this is how hard it's going to actually be. They can give it legitimate rewards. They can basically like calibrate the amount of people that are fighting it. And yeah, basically a mage tower, exactly. Yeah, something like that. It would be controlled by guilds like Classic. Just have it give loot once a week. Like, after you kill it once a week, you can't do it again. Like, that's so easy to solve that problem. Like, the only reason they don't fix that in Classic WoW is because have it respawn regularly. It's not a matter of like how many people can do it, or, you know, like how many times you can do it. It's a matter of just getting the loot from it. Like, it's super fucking easy, dude. Is an Arthas down there? Yeah, I have no idea. Casuals comparing up something in an elevator attempt. Yeah, that'd be really fucking badass.
Of all the things in the Shadowlands, which look great, like, the Confident stuff does look really cool. The Maw is the one that stands out as not really sure what's supposed to be happening here. It's really not clear. And I sound confused. Now, I want to bear in mind, I've been playing this for months. I'm still not really sure what's supposed to be happening in the Maw. Seemingly not many other people are either. It's a little confusing. Yeah. Again, it feels unfinished. It feels like they still want to throw time at it, so maybe over the next few weeks we'll see something happening with the Maw. But right now, it's just a barren, empty, non-threatening wasteland with not much happening in it. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. For those of you who are looking forward to doing a lot of Covenant upgrades, you're probably going to need to spend quite a bit of time in the Maw rescuing souls and things like that. Yeah. And that could get frustrating because it's not particularly fun, but who am I to say what's fun? You guys can figure that all out by yourself.
Yeah, I think we'll find out.
Lastly, let's talk about legendaries, because there's been some confusion as to how this system works and a lot of data mining going along with it.
Yeah,
well, the
we've
legendary
looked at this
system
before.
is pretty simple, actually, and they've expanded upon it this week. There are lots and lots of legendaries coming for your character in the Shadowlands. Not all of them are great, obviously. With so many options, there's bound to be ones that are better than others. There are some that are very specific, so there are some legendaries that are for the Maw. They give you advantages while you're in the Maw. They allow you to do extra things. There are some that are for Torghast. You wear this legendary inside Torghast, and you can, you know, get some benefits inside Torghast. A lot of them are generic, and not a lot of them are doing something very special. Some people got some good ones, some people didn't. That's the nature of the game.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Now, how do they work? Well, so some people are a little afraid of this. The way legendaries work is, of course, they are crafted by the rune carver. They've added some nice cutscenes and stuff to this guy. But essentially, you're going to look for a crafter or go to the auction house, or you can craft it yourself, but you're going to craft essentially a base item. It has
and this
no
is
stats,
something,
it has nothing on it, it's just...
So the things that you can craft, I'm pretty sure you do through professions, which I think is really cool. I like this this system a lot.
Like Shadowghast helmets, something along those lines. So this you can literally just purchase off the AH if you want to, and it will have an item level, okay? Now, this item level can vary, because as the crafters craft more of these things, they're going to unlock things like rank 2 and then rank 3. And that means they're going to get better base item level of that base item, okay? So once you take that base item, you're going to add some things to it. One, you need to find your legendary recipe, wherever that might be. Right now, they drop in dungeons, they come from vendors, things like that. So looking for your recipe, you will then put that in.
The funny thing about the legendary recipe is that is literally exactly what we wanted to see whenever we saw the first system that they were implementing with Legion Legendaries. That is exactly what we wanted to see. So they're doing the exact same fucking thing, man. Like, I'm very, very fucking glad about this, man. It's absolutely great. And I don't know, like, this is what I had hoped the legendary system to be back in Legion. So this is good.
Your recipe book. You have that recipe. You can do whatever you want.
Targeted legendaries,
then
exactly.
You're going to need to pick up a couple of the scrolls, which are used to apply the stats. So right now, for any really good items in the Shadowlands, you can choose what stats you want on it. They're called missives, and they're very, very simple, guys. Missive of haste, missive of crit, missive of mastery, missive of versatility, etc.
Yeah, this makes sense.
So you're going to pick up a couple of those. You can apply 2 stats to every legendary item. So you're going to have a base item. You're going to have a couple of missives for the stats you want. You're going to have the recipe for the legendary you need, and then you're going to need the legendary resource, Soul Ash. Soul Ash comes from Torghast. And the way you get Soul Ash is that every week there will be 2 of the wings open inside Torghast, along with the Endless. But the Endless, and we confirmed this today, does not provide Soul Ash. It's purely for cosmetics, so we can relax there. What you do have is these 2 of the 6 themes of Torghast, and they're very short, 6 levels. That's it. Can be done in a few minutes. Running through that will reward you with some Soul Ash.
So this is your weekly.
Soul Ash, your recipe, your base item, and the missives you want. You will then go to see the Rune Carver. He will then ask you to put in your items. So what you'll do...
Man, somebody says in chat, Chorecraft? Are you crazy? They've said in all of this, like, yes, there's a few things that you have to do regularly, but are you kidding me, dude? This is the exact opposite of that. They're making almost everything here fucking optional. Like, yes, there's a few things that you need to do every single week to make your character better. Like, I mean, that's the way the game should be. Like, it's not a matter of or should there be things or not. It's a matter of how many of those things there should be and how long they're supposed to take. So that's really what the conversation is. BFA, it takes way too fucking long. And that's what the problem is. In terms of Shadowlands, it seems like they're going the complete opposite direction. And that's what I'm worrying about. I don't really know how that's going to happen at all. Okay, like, yeah, I don't know, dude. It does seem like it's a little bit worrying.
You'll take your base item and put it in there. You will then get a list of things that can be put on that item. Not every affix can be put on every item. There are certain legendary effects that can only be put on helmets, certain that can only be put on rings, necklaces, whatever it might be. Then you will apply the 2 stats you want to put on it, and then you'll say craft. And then he will craft you the legendary. There you have it. And the item level of that legendary will be whatever the base item was. That means as more base item levels are discovered by crafters and things, you might think to yourself, crap, I've got the low item level legendary. Do I need to craft it again? No, they have put in an upgrade system so you can simply keep upgrading the same item over and over. This is a very simple process.
Yeah,
what Blizzard clearly do not want you to do is to log in week 1 of the Shadowlands, get your BIS recipe or whatever it might be, craft it week 1, and then that item is done for the remainder of the expansion. That would be
And thank God for that. That's what happened with Legion Legendaries, and it sucked. As soon as you got your Legion Legendary, you were pretty much done with it, minus you'd have to upgrade. Wasn't there, like, I remember this in Legion vaguely, there was like an item that you would have to upgrade. You'd use the item to upgrade your Legendary every single patch. It was something really, really fucking stupid. Yeah, the Relic or whatever, Awakening Essence. I forgot what it was exactly, but I think that having a legendary and gear that you consistently upgrade is good, as long as those upgrades don't have some bullshit mechanic like artifact power or artifact knowledge tied to them. So I think that to some degree, like, soft versions of that are good, but making that like the main progression system of the game, like it was in BFA and Legion, is a problem. So it matters of like how much it's happening.
Boring for everybody concerned.
No, not relics.
So what they've done is created this system so you can either wait if you want to be patient and wait for the crafters to unlock the higher item level version, then you'll need to craft one time and it'll already be the highest item level available. Of course, higher item levels will come as the game progresses. And
so it's just like, okay.
Or you can build your first one because you need it quickly. Either you're very into end game content, so you want your legendary ASAP. You'll get that built at the lower item level and just upgrade it as you get more resources over time. Very, very simple process. Very cool. Very fun. Really like that we're building up a nice selection of legendaries that we can mess around with in different environments. I really love that they've given us the option to say, here's one for the maw. You guys struggling in the maw? Build a legendary for it. We're going to make that pretty easily and accessible, and that might help you with your Covenant Sanctum upgrades.
That's
if that's what you're focused on, and you're not focused on, say, PvE raiding or PvP, don't bother with those. Bother with the things you do care about and make that work. So that's really cool addition as well.
Yeah, that's great.
So overall, there's a number
They're
of
taking a
things,
big risk
from the
with
flight
this.
Whistle to little consumables,
yeah, they're taking a very big
work,
risk with this.
to how your Covenant works.
I'm
to
glad.
How your endgame's going to work. That are all
very glad.
Into one. Those are all the little things that don't deserve their own video, but they're a good idea. And of course, so thank you very much for listening. I'm hoping. I know many of you people are asking. I know many people are asking. Is the game going to be ready? I hope so. I hope so. I have. Of course, I'm pessimistic right now.
I hope so. I need to take a piss, guys. I'll be right back. I don't want to talk about this. Give me 1 sec. Next step is to make classes fun. Don't get ahead of yourself. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, boys.
I'm very pessimistic about how this is going. There are some things that definitely worry me, such as we didn't do any raid testing with actual powered characters that are using all the available options to us that are coming in Shadowlands.
That seems a little bit bad.
I guess they're trying to guess.
Did you wash your hands?
Where the power
why would I wash my hands? I got a clean dick.
Or like pulling that data from somewhere else and trying to figure it out. I wish them the best. Obviously, I do not want a bad launch of the expansion, so I could sit here going, told you.
I knew it. Yeah, exactly.
And so far, they're on a time limit. I hope they get it right. We'll see what happens on that one. But needless to say, October 27th, the stream will be up, and we will be leveling together throughout the night. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
So, well, let's go ahead and, before I talk about this at all, I'm going to go ahead and link the video. Guys, everybody make sure to watch the video, like the video, give Preach your support. This is a surprisingly positive video. I was actually expecting it to not really do that. I know Preach has been very critical of Shadowlands, and a lot of these small changes that he's been mentioning are really good. And it actually does imply that Blizzard is designing the game mainly for that kind of casual player that just logs on and does whatever they want. Now, is that going to be a good decision by doing that at the expense of maybe like the more hardcore or semi-hardcore player base? I don't really know, but it does seem like it's a good decision overall, and it could be a good decision, and it just depends on what happens. Now, obviously there are a lot more casuals than hardcore players, but I think there are more people that care about their character's performance than don't care about their character's performance. So it just matters to them, like, to what degree do they care about it, and to what degree does it matter. So it's really kind of hard for me to say. Everyone's lazy nowadays. Everybody's always been lazy. The thing is that people will be as lazy as you let them be. If you let people be super fucking lazy, they're gonna be super fucking lazy. So you always have to keep that in mind. Yeah, the more lazy you let people be, the more lazy they're going to be. That's all there is to it. People are better at being lazy now, and that is also another truth. Let me go ahead and read the rest of these. Awesome stuff as usual, brother. You can come by us to the community. So true. Yeah, Preach makes great videos. I like him a lot. Preach, give us some more class opinion videos. Not really too interested. Like, I don't really like watch ever class videos before. But I think for a lot of people that is really good, especially if they want to hear like their class. So what you're saying is the longer you're in the Maw, the jailer gets Maw and Maw gets pissed at you. Oh, he gets Maw. Okay. All right, I got it. So happy there's fun stuff to do again for its own sake. So this is like a huge risk. Yeah, we'll look at the Savix video in a minute, but first thing I want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about this real quick. This is a huge risk that Blizzard is taking and a huge divergence from what they have been doing previously. Because ever since basically, like, I don't know, like for a long time, the way Blizzard gets people to play their new content is they over-incentivize it. Like, that's effectively what it is. Yeah, they just over-incentivize the content, and that's all there is to it. This could be an actual alt-friendly expansion. People think hardcore is pointless and worthless grinds to do to something useless. Well, I mean, hardcore means something different for everybody. Honestly, Shadowlands does seem good. Let's see here. Sure, covenants are a problem, but it seems like more of 2 steps forward and 1 step backward thing. Listen, if Shadowlands takes 2 steps forwards and 1 step back, I'll consider that an overall fucking positive. Like, the Covenant issue is going to be a problem. I'm not excited about Covenants at all. I think they're going to be a piece of shit whenever you talk about player power. I think that we haven't even seen the surface of that because the raid testing, or sorry, the class testing hasn't really come out. The game hasn't come out. So we don't know what it's actually going to look like finalized. I'm pretty sure there's going to be massive discrepancies. It's going to make the game less fun for people that are playing the classes that don't have the discrepancies. But we'll have to find out. I have no idea, dude. BFA took 3 steps backwards and that's it. BFA took 3 steps backwards and then it tripped and it fell over. That's basically what happened. And then WAD, you know, like that's, you know, it's WAD. I mean, what do you want me to say? Yeah, that's what happened with BFA. And obviously, I don't really feel like a lot of these things are necessarily like great in terms of, you know, like the Covenant abilities and like this kind of stuff. I don't think they're great, but they are interesting and they're cool. And I think that the sad thing about the Covenant stuff is that I wish that I could use all of the Covenant abilities. I want to be able to use all of these abilities with my class. I want to be able to play my class at a higher level. Like, I used to look forward to like every expansion release hoping that Warriors would get, you know, some other cool ability. Like whenever I saw Bladestorm got announced, and then they announced Titan's Grip in the same fucking expansion. Oh, dude, that was it. That was fucking awesome. Like every fucking expansion, you had like new abilities and new things to look forward to, and it feels like now it's almost like you have new things to look forward to losing. So I am glad that they're adding a lot of new things with Shadowlands here. It's awesome. But I just would like to be able to use all of them. That's the way that I see it, man. There are literally talents locked for no reason. Exactly, man. Warriors were fun before. They don't think that really made them fun, but it was okay. So you want to be an angel vampire? No, you're not a vampire or you're not an angel if you're allied with the Kyrian. You're not either one of them. You're not a Kyrian because you're in the Kyrian Covenant. That's not the way that it works. How about unlocking Covenant abilities like you unlock essences? I'd love to see that. I think that'd be fucking great. I'd like to see plenty of different things like that. But, you know, who the fuck knows? I have no idea, man. Give me 1 second here. And let's see if do you know anything about the Druids in Shadowlands? I have no fucking idea about Druids in Shadowlands. What do you think about Single-Minded Fury coming back to Fury Warrior? I think that's, I mean, like, I think it's good for all the warriors that have erectile dysfunction. You know, they'll have different sized weapons to actually make them feel less emasculated.